This video is a continuation of my replay of Axis Empires, and we are now in the spring of 1944. It's March and April, and we're going to begin on the European map with the Axis strategy, which is materiel shortages. This card allows Germany to place a number of markers in the delay box. One of them is the materiel shortages marker, but also the G headquarters, the H headquarters, the 1st Fallschirmjäger, and the 6th Panzer Army, all put in the delay box and will be able to be built. Also, Germany is able to deploy a Panzer and 3 infantry units directly to the map during the replacement segment. During the operational phases, what I focused on with the German is reorganizing the defensive line in the Eastern Front to hold back the Soviets as much as possible. And I also moved a Panzer Corps and an infantry corps into the area of Rome to try to defend Italy from the Commonwealth and Americans that are attacking. I don't have a picture of that, so I'm going to go ahead and into the reveal of the Western Ally strategy, and they play a historical strategy, Operation Shingle. And we know, so this is an operation launched again against Italy. This card allows the Allies to put several units in the delay box. One is the 21st headquarters of the Commonwealth, but then also the 2nd Infantry and the 1st Canadian Armies are added to the delay box. Then the United States places 12th headquarters, a mechanized corps, the 1st Army, the 9th Army, and the 3rd Mechanized Army in the delay box. Also, a marker is added, the Supreme Headquarters Allied Expeditionary Force Logistics marker, again placed in the delay box. Then the United States makes some costly attacks against the stronghold at Cassino. The picture that I'm going to show here is from the prior turn, just to give you an idea of what this area looked like. And finally, the Germans do collapse here, and they fall back into Rome. This card, Operation Shingle, has a historical note. It has a quotation from FDR, where he basically said, "The first of the Axis capitals is now in our hands. 1 up and 2 to go." End of quote. Then we go to the Soviet Union. They reveal their strategy, Total War Production. And so this card allows the Soviets to deploy 3 tank corps and 12 infantry units directly to the map. And then I had the Soviet hordes attack the German Wehrmacht again. Rostov is continuing to hold up, though, but the Russians do manage a breakthrough near Orel and then exploit a hole in the Axis position. And I have this depicted here in the picture, and you can see the 5th Army is in Orel, and it's kind of compromised the German line. And you can see the German 16th Army is basically surrounded now, and it certainly put them in a difficult position. That is going to bring the March-April 1944 turn on the European map to a close. So we're now going to go over to the Pacific map for the same period, March and April. At this point in the Pacific, the Japanese victory point total now drops to Rising Sun 1 victory point. So the Allies are making some progress here. Then Japan launches some offensives in China and Burma. The strategy is the Ichigo offensive. So during the political events segment, I get a result. Japan supports the nationalists, and then the Chinese are going to lose a step from their forces in China. And then the Japanese commander launches a counterattack in China, and both sides end up suffering casualties in what is an exchange result. In this picture, you can see a Japanese headquarters near Xi'an, and where there were some attacks near Wuhan. Then we go to the Allies' turn. They reveal their strategy: intensive bombing. This is the B-29s are now starting to strike Japan, and the United States also launches an attack against the island of Truk, and I have that depicted here in a picture. The Japanese had a strong fortress garrison placed there, but it is now weakened from this fighting attack. In Korea, which I have depicted in this next picture, the Commonwealth is attacking again the Japanese position in Saigon, which you can see has some Japanese Marines there, but it's not enough. The Japanese are overcome this time, and Saigon falls. Then we go to the Soviet player, and they play War Progress 4 as their current strategy. So the Soviets received some interceptors that had been used in Europe and are now available to them. And then they have a political table, and they have a minor country politics, which results in some of the Chinese communists forces in Kansu to lose some troops. So that brings March and April of 1944 to a close. So we're going to continue the spring by going to April and May, and for that we're going to go back over to the European map. I don't have a picture of what's going on for April-May, but the Axis Command is trying to solidify its defensive positions in the Soviet Union and in Italy. The Western Allies end up landing more troops in Italy because the Germans are kind of holding everybody up near Rome. And then the Soviet Union continues to counterattack in Rostov and around the area leading toward Moscow. But the conditions are mud, so this really hinders the attacks to some degree. But that's really all that happened in April, May of 1944 on the European map. So we're going to go back over to the Pacific map. So the Japanese are still rolling on political tables, and the Chinese nationalists are victimized, this time by Japanese collaborators, so they lose some strength in China. A step is removed. Then the Chinese forces in China launch an attack near Wuhan. I'll put the picture up from the prior turn so you can kind of visualize that, because I don't have a current picture. And this time it is a success because the Chinese are becoming seriously outnumbered here. Also, in the U.S. Allied part of the turn, there's another attack against Truk, and the Japanese have a fortress there. There's a good-sized battle this time. The U.S. Navy has a carrier strike here, and the Americans end up prevailing, and Truk does fall. Also, there are minor country politics during the Soviet part of the turn, and the Japanese end up losing some strength in Hopa. And that brings the spring of 1944 to a close. So if you'd like to see what happens in the summer of 44, stay tuned for the next video. Have a great day.